Okay, let's get back to the solution now, because now that you say the Southern, I mean, nobody should just fold their arms and watch this happen. And now that he has said this, that's the first step, you say. How do you recommend that the government of the day latch on to this with a view to moving forward and sorting the problem out?
No, you should not let off. You should catch on and then try to see how the government rallies the various stakeholders in the north, in the south. You don't segregate these people. You don't tear them apart. Put them together. Why should I be the president and not being able to remote control anybody to the betterment of the society? It seems like some governors are even more powerful than the president. And yet, Mr. President is the #1 guy. Of course, you can blame him. Now, some people argue that the problem of Nigeria did not start with Jonathan. But all I know is today, Jonathan is the president. Whatever happens in his time, let Jonathan let Nigeria break. Is he going to blame those people who led before him? It is his own time that the country broke. You should have a worry on that.
What do you think will happen if maybe, as highlighted, my party say, look, not everybody, some people may in their rooms, and maybe by extension come out in the open and say, well, with due respect, GNI, Sultan can, yes, you're entitled to your views, but we don't agree that we are the cause of these problems. And as such, we may not necessarily be on the same page with you to sorting this thing out.
The Sultan can always go back to his palace and rest back and watch them find their solutions. I'm telling you, they are lucky the Sultan made it possible for that statement to be available. Because without that statement, what is new today? Look at the SEF you talk about. They are the same Nigerians, composed of leaders, past leaders in this country, from head of states to presidents, governors, senators, ambassadors. That is the make. But why is it that nothing seems to move? Everybody pretends as if it doesn't know it's actually happening.
So are you saying that, you know, from the time you last spoke to this time you're speaking now, you know, we have a fair idea of what the problem could be? Are you saying nothing has changed?
Well, you are always here in Lagos. You try and move into Maiduguri by road. Try to walk like a normal citizen of this country with all his constitutional rights in Maiduguri or Yobe or even Kaduna, any part of the north, after 8 o'clock. You exercise your constitutional rights. In Maiduguri today, you can't just gamble those things. Why should you have armies and police and task forces with guns slinging around with their vehicles in a democratic setting? Why? Something is wrong.
Something is wrong, admitted. Something is wrong. But in terms of what we should be doing, we're not going to see, from all that you've said now, from all that we know, we're not going to see, we most likely will not see them moving out immediately. But what steps do you think have been taken to make sure that at some point they truly do leave the street and the place is truly safe
You know,
again?
if you plug a pipe,
yes,
you have to unplug it before the flow comes. Have you ever heard the JTF admit parts of, if not whole, parts of the accusations the populace are laying on them? Have they ever come out to say, we have done this? They have always had an excuse that it is not them. It's a lie. It's a lie. The JTF commander who goes on the media all the time on behalf of the JTF and the government, they never accept. But people who have gone through the pains of the treatments meted out are talking a different thing.
so for you that will be a first step.
Yeah, of course, find a way. Some have suggested moving them out. If moving them in was to stop some killings, and you come in and you still continue the killing and make even life harder. You traumatize people. Move them out.
So move them out, then what?
The leaders there in those communities have suggested those things. It fell on deaf ears, which means somebody in the presidency and what have you know better than those people, and yet they would throw the bag and say, you people in the community know who they are.
Okay, so move them out, then what?
Move them out and then wait to see the next session. The next session, okay, the community leaders, now it's your turn. Tell us what step to take next. But you don't, anybody who talks about these security situations in the north is simply playing with fire, because those people who keep bombing, you can notice that it's only when they attack and move off before they are apprehended. What is the security arms doing? You have the military intelligence, you have the police, you have all these offices, which are for potentialities, those who gauge the coming of trouble, the happenings of the trouble as it happens, and what to do against the backdrop of what happened to avoid the next. Nothing happens for a country like Nigeria with all of what it has. These offices, these security offices, seem to be sleeping. Now, how do you answer those security problems? You want the ordinary man to now stick his neck and when he tells you the information, the little that he knows, he'll find it difficult to go back into his house.
Well, when you look at some of the suggested solutions to some of these problems, it's not something that will happen in a day, 2, a month, 3 or 4. You're talking about economic empowerment for the people. You're talking about development. Are these some of the issues which you've heard could be part of the solutions, and how do you think they can work?
Definitely, because it says an idle mind is the devil's workshop. If these guys, which are the youth, in any society are occupied enough, whatever it is that is in the offing, if it is negative, the youth alone can checkmate it.
But again, this points again to political leadership.
Failure. Failure. Right now, any governor in this country who is on his first time going for his second term, 50% of his time and mind is now focusing on the electioneering processes, whether he likes it or not, whether he admits it or not. But we Nigerians, we know that already, because it has come and gone and come again. We are used to that syndrome. There's nothing we can do about it because nobody can challenge them. So when you talk about, yes, we can do this, we can do that, a place like Lagos State is one place out of the 36 states that can always say we are different. But that too is for its own peculiar advantages that it has, naturally and man-made. The efforts of Lagos State's people and whatever cannot just be washed aside. It's a plus to the country. The country can always boast with what Lagos State is internationally. But go outside of Lagos. Even Abuja is just name. All the concrete things you see, that's all that it is.